All right, 49ers roster update. Drake Jackson is headed to injured reserve with his knee injury. It was likely that if Drake Jackson had been on the active roster, he would be inactive because of the addition of Chase Young. So this gives Drake Jackson a chance to go to IR for at least 4 games, get the knee right. Doesn't have to be listed as inactive. And then, 4 games from now, the 49ers will probably be in a different spot. This is a season of attrition. So we'll see where they are at from a defensive line standpoint then. The 49ers have also made their call-ups from the practice squad. One is Shamar Jean-Charles. Now, he is a cornerback who's a permanent call-up. That means that it's not just one of the 2 activations this weekend. It is the spot that Drake Jackson vacated when he moved to IR. So Shamar Jean-Charles is going to be on the active roster, and the 49ers also have made a couple of temporary activations. That's Curtis Robinson, the linebacker. He might have a chance to play with Demetrius Flannigan-Fowles questionable with the ankle injury, and Willie Snead IV, the receiver, who usually gives the 49ers some good special team snaps. None of the 49ers youngsters who are on injury lists and have had their practice windows opened have been activated this week, but that was expected. That's Darrell Luter Jr., Samuel Womack III, and Robert Beal. The 49ers have 3 weeks to officially activate these players. They've only used up 1 of those weeks. Nobody was expecting this to happen in week 1. They were expecting the full runway to be needed, or at least 2 weeks of that runway to be needed. You don't typically activate these players right away. On top of that, 49ers seem to have a good matchup with their existing personnel tomorrow. I've talked about Isaiah Oliver, bigger nickel back. Well, he could work well against the tight end in Evan Engram, who lines up as receiver most of the time for Jacksonville. We always talk about Isaiah Oliver struggling against smaller, shiftier slot receivers. Tomorrow he gets the kind of matchup that he has succeeded with this year. Just remember the game against the Giants when Oliver did a good job against Darren Waller, a tight end who lines up out wide. Same deal here with Jacksonville's Evan Engram. The key is for Steve Wilks to make sure that Yamada Lenore is the one covering Christian Kirk, the shiftier, very good Jacksonville slot receiver. So the 49ers have their roster ready. Shamar Jean-Charles up, Curtis Robinson moving up from the practice squad temporarily, and so is Willie Snead IV with Drake Jackson to injured reserve. Jackson was expected to be inactive anyway. And to round out this update, how about another version of airport rankings? I'm building these airport rankings. I've only graded 1 so far though, San Diego, which was terrible. This is Houston, the George Bush Intercontinental Airport. Apparently International Airport didn't sound big enough for them in Texas, so they had to name it Intercontinental. And I have to say, it's a big airport. I've been here before. I have to say, this is creepily empty right now. Transferring from SFO to Jacksonville, and it looks like I'm in a customs hall. They told me that the food was in this direction, so I'm just gonna have to go ahead and trust them. And, since this is not a live broadcast, I can always just tack the food onto the end when I'm editing this. So we'll see what the food is like, and based on that, we'll give this airport a grade. I'll tell you what, it's not going to be hard to beat San Diego though, but if you're excited for the airport grades series, well, that's going to be coming up at the end of the season, because we've been through a lot of airports, not only for this season, but over the course of this calendar year. For me right now, 17 flights in 51 days, and the Houston airport gets to be at the start of that cycle. Apparently Houston has won #1 U.S. airport. Not sure if we're buying the hype, because I'm not sure who awarded them this, but it is proudly displayed here in Houston.